Well before Joker debuted in theaters back in 2019, well before the current pandemic, there were concerns surrounding the movie. Todd Phillips' Joker movie was set to inspire quote-unquote incel violence. The movie Joker was set to inspire mass shootings and seemingly had a smear campaign against it well before it actually released in theaters. In all my years of movie going and movie watching, I hadn't seen or read anything quite like it. With a small budget and Joaquin Phoenix playing in the movie, everything was set to still go wrong for the movie Joker. But instead of failure, everything went absolutely above and beyond. The irony is, even in the case of movies like Deadpool or Logan being somewhat similar, none of those movies measure up to the success of the movie Joker. $1 billion in an Oscar and an iconic dance scene later proved everyone wrong. If it proved anything, it proved that movie criticism these days is indeed bizarre, like my bros Dalton Fran and Jordan Ross and myself all say, and that Joker is well deserving and worthy of all of this praise. Even still, I feel there's multiple things that you can take away from Joker as a movie. One being that indeed all it takes is one bad day. And salute to Alan Moore. It's frightening to know that one man who is alone and lost in the world, and basically what above average privileged folk would consider to be the bottom of society, can one day say enough is enough and decide to lose any and all remorse or empathy and decide to become Joker, like we see happen to Arthur Fleck in the movie. Arthur Fleck got pushed around and belittled and mistreated constantly and had no one to lean on. He had no one who truly understood what he was going through. Even in therapy, he felt he wasn't being heard. The most painful way a person can feel alone is when he or she is talking to another person that is supposed to be his or her guide, and he or she feels that he or she isn't being listened to. That's a lot of he or she's. So how does one express himself in that situation? Who does he really have to turn to? He or she. I watched a video that reviewed the movie a little while ago, and one of the comments that stuck with me and still does is the one that said the point of the film and the point most people miss about Joker is that we can all afford to be a little kinder to one another, when in actuality, kindness doesn't cost anything. There's a point in the nail-biting moment of the movie where Arthur says that people pass him on the street every day. And just imagine how many people like Arthur are walking around in our own reality. The truth is that society doesn't want us all to win, and society doesn't care about your feelings or emotions, but more about what you can do to benefit society. And somewhere in Arthur's psyche, he knows this all to be true, because Murray Franklin, for example, only thought of him as a laughingstock. Arthur wanted all his life to be on the Murray Franklin show, only to be ridiculed by the very person he was initially in awe of. Joker is also a haunting truth and a reflection of how we treat those who are deemed mentally ill. Whether you've personally seen disturbing YouTube videos, heard rumors, or have crazy neighbors, or have family members who are mentally ill, you know how society will look down on those who are deemed mentally ill. This is not just a singular truth, but ultimately a universal one. The scary thing is that it's an illness that affects a person's mental state, and that will oftentimes automatically disqualify a person from society. I'm not saying that every person who is mentally ill is able to be approached with open arms and Bibles and candy canes, but Joker shows that there is a problem with how we treat those who are mentally ill, how we treat the family members of those who are mentally ill, and ultimately, how if you are mentally ill, then society doesn't really care if you live or die. Because as a mentally ill person, you simply don't benefit society. And if you don't benefit society, then you're disposable. But this is just one of the many things that consequently won't ever change. Mental illness is no laughing matter, nor is it a joke. Arthur's transition from Arthur Fleck to Joker was a result of one too many bad days. It'd be easy to say that he was always destined to become Joker because of his way of thinking and the circumstances that came as a result of how he was raised and his whole life being what he considers to be a joke. The tragedy in and of itself is that Arthur's life is tragic, but to him that is the joke. He no longer views life as a tragedy, but as ironically him living in a clown world that is a joke, which means that basically the circumstances made him who he was, which is eerily in and of itself a slight intentional slash unintentional nod to Watchmen character the comedian and his main slogan. The haunting truth about Joker is that it is a reflection of society in general. It shows that maybe it isn't such a bad idea to go out of the way to make someone's day a bit better by showing them an act of genuine kindness with a capital G. because almost anyone and everyone can fake being kind. The most successful people in this world sometimes are narcissistic, and that alone is a haunting truth in and of itself. But Joker also points the finger at those who are there to help the mentally ill, and shows that there is only so much that the people who are assigned to assist the mentally ill, that there is only so much that they can do. Because again, it's not what society can do for its people, but how can you benefit society? It's a tragic thought to know that there are people walking around like Arthur Fleck on a daily basis. And I don't mean people ready to paint clown makeup and do iconic dances on stairways. I mean that there are people who, like Arthur, feel abused, lonely, rejected, and basically hopeless. And that all he truly needed was someone who would listen and show him affection. Because ultimately, that is what human beings need and crave: attention, support, and the ability to be heard. And Arthur Fleck was no different. Joker boasts a tour de force from Joaquin Phoenix, but even still, it is the many thoughts and the scary truths that the film boasts that make it even more effective and pulse pounding. It's no wonder that every time a movie has a bit more to offer than, ironically enough, a joke, today's movie critics can only complain. But hopefully, aside from being awe-inspired by Joaquin's terrific performance, Joker still stands as a reminder of what needs to be corrected and what we can all ultimately try to do better.